Yeah.
All right, Chris, you're up.
Okay, you want to share the screen there?
I will do so.
This host has disabled sharing. Okay, you need to turn that on. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, there we go. All right, gotta find it. Okay, welcome everyone. The Western Carolina Amateur Radio Society is just as happy as we can be to offer this to all of you folks out there that's wanting to get your technician license. What this class is all about. It's about making you ready to take the exam and a little bit more. We're going to teach you a little bit more. We're going to actually teach you how to use the radio, how to talk on the radio. And there goes my pager. Hold on one second. I'll tell you why that went off here in a second. So welcome to the show. Amateur radio technician exam prep course. What we're going to do here is talk about tonight. We're going to talk about what amateur radio is, what the FCC and licensing has to do with amateur radio activities, and getting your ham radio license. And then we'll go into much more, but this is module 1. First thing we're going to do is it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to do introductions. Again, I'm Chris Morgan, N4 RCM. The last 3 of the suffix is my initials, Robert Chris Morgan. I was able to get a vanity call that matched exactly what I wanted, and that worked out fine. We'll talk a little more about that later. But the instructors tonight, we'll all go through here and introduce ourselves. My background is in emergency services. I still serve with the fire department. I'm a member on the board of directors of the Skyland Fire Department, and I've worked in the fire department since I was 19 years old. I started as a volunteer at Skyland Fire Department, and I was going to AB Tech, getting my drafting degree. And I was almost halfway through that, and a job at the fire department came up, and that's what I really loved. So I quit school and went to the fire department and learned everything I could about being a good firefighter. Stayed there for about 10 years or so, 11 years, I think it was, and I got promoted at that department up to the rank of deputy chief. I was just under the chief, and then the city of Asheville decided they were going to gobble us up, and they annexed all this area out here, and they took in all of our paid personnel. And I got transferred over into the logistics division. Well, they created a division for us, and the logistics division was kind of in charge of all the teams and all that sort of thing, like Swiftwater Rescue Team, Mountain Rescue Team, all the different things like that, that even the hazardous material team was under us. And I was there a year, and I tested for division chief, and was promoted to division chief. So that's how it started, and I stayed there until 2006, and I retired as a division chief. So had a great time with it, and most of my responsibilities there were in communications. I was in charge of the radio systems. I was in charge of the computer systems. I also had fleet management, so all the trucks fell under me. All the equipment fell under me, and also facilities. I had all the fire stations and buildings. So Had a lot of responsibility, and I loved my job. I really did. It was a great job. It was always changing. I could go into some more stories, but I won't do that. Um, Also, when I got into radio, back when I was a Boy Scout, many years ago, I was a Boy Scout, and I learned best of my ability Morse code and semaphore. And I said, well, I want to go ahead and get my ham license because you had to know code back then. So I tried, it just didn't work out. I could not copy or send 5 words a minute in Morse code. It just didn't happen for me. But so I just, did it as it was and went through it and let it go. But I was able to work with radios and stuff with my profession, and that worked out fine. That met that niche, so to speak. So finally, Silent Key, Norm Harrell, and Harry, which you will meet tonight, were two scouters that I worked with in the Daniel Boone Council, and they've been working at me, trying to get me to get my ham license. And I said, well, I can't copy the Morse code. Well, you don't have to worry about it now. It's not a part of the test. I said, oh, okay. So I went ahead and got my license. Went back in 17 or 18. I don't remember. I'd have to look back. But I've not been a ham that long, but I have enjoyed the time with it. And now, guess what? I'm president of the club. So I don't know how they talked me into that. But we're doing good. I enjoy it, and I love working with people, learning more about it. And there are so many facets in ham radio, and you'll find your niche. There's just so many different things that you can do with it. That's pretty much about me. N4 RCM. I'm signing off for now and turn it over to the next instructor.
I believe I'm next. And, I got an echo in here. My name is Howard Hazelrig. My call is Whiskey 4 Papa Howard, also Vanity. I've been licensed a little longer than Chris. I got mine back in 1962. And I have been an extra long enough that I had to be able to do the 20 words a minute code to get the license. So it's been a lot of fun. I can guarantee you that there's enough to do in amateur radio to keep you interested for more than 60 years, because I've been there. My background was in electronics, and electrical and mechanical maintenance. I worked for 3 totally different industries. Worked for a glass plant. Everybody that's seen ball mason jars, I've seen a whole lot more than you have. We made them. I worked for the Ball Corporation. I've seen 1 billion baby food jars. That sounds like a lot, but we made $250,000 a shift. And I was there 22 years. They closed that plant, and I went on to a wood furniture plant. And I worked for Steelcase in their top end wood division. I spent 10 years there. And what I really did was fix machinery. And more, there's more electronics involved in machinery and machine operation. So 10 years there, got to see a lot about wood furniture making. And then they closed that plant. And I moved on to a company called Arvin Meritor. Right now it's Cummins Meritor. And they make the Rockwell tractor trailer truck axle there. And I worked in that plant for 10 years and then I retired. I've been retired a little while. But what I really did was fix machinery and all that period of time, and electrical work, or wiring and electronic maintenance in the thing, as well as mechanical. Pretty much you came up to a piece of machinery and it was broken. You really needed to fix it, not just say I'm an electrician and walk off. So, and in the club, I've been member of the club on and off for a long time. Why I say on and off is my first 22 years there in the companies were as rotating shift, and I didn't get Thursday nights off for the club meetings that often. My last 20 years was all second shift, and I didn't show up at the club meeting because I had to be on vacation and I usually wasn't in town when I was on vacation. So, but at any rate, since I've retired, I've been trying to be active with the club for the last 10, 11 years, and I got to be over the educational department, which is this. This is why I turn on the Zoom and introduce people, I guess. I'll be at the next up, and we'll be talking about a little bit of math and frequency and one thing or another, and then I'll be talking about antennas a little later. And that's enough about me. Let's see, I think, is Rick here? Rick, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, at any rate, I muted the thing, my echo here. If you're here, say something, Rick.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, Rick's your next instructor.
Introduce yourself, Rick.
Well, my name's Rick Montel. Call sign is Kilo Whiskey, 4 Mike, Quebec. I'm an extra. I don't know if they've already mentioned or not, but that is the one of the licenses. It's the top license right now. And I'll be teaching the electronics, basic electricity electronics section, chapter 3, I believe it is. My background is mostly aviation. I'm a certified aircraft mechanic. I was a commercial pilot, flight instructor, etc. for a number of years, about 30 years in aviation. So that's pretty much my story. Who's next, Howard?
That'd be me again. Then I'm not sure. Maybe it's Harry next.
You want me to talk?
Speak up, Harry.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to talk again. Anyway, my name's Harry Frick. Call sign is Kilo Charlie 4 Echo Zulu November. I met that same person that Chris met. I think I met him before Chris did because my son, when he went in the Boy Scout troop, I showed up, and Norman Harrell, N4NH, was there. He was one of the leaders and later became Scoutmaster before me. And I happened to mention that I'd had a crystal set as a kid, and he said something about ham radio and kept talking about it. And I finally showed up for one of his classes, and this is back when we did what we're going to do with you. We did it, I think we did it at AB Tech in a classroom, and that was in 1988. And I started out as a novice, went up through technician, got up to general, and when I was trying to go for extra class, I hit that 15 word a minute wall in CW. And after I spent a year listening to tapes and computer programs and stuff, and came to the conclusion that I really wasn't meant to copy code. It was not fun either. Norman could copy 60 words a minute. I did good with 5 and managed to fake my way through 10. But anyway, took the advanced license class and waited till they did away with the code in 2012. Took the extra class test and passed it, and that's where we are today. Background, I was a mechanical engineer for American Inca and BASF Corporation. Hey, Jenny. and basically was in process piping, which the biggest difference between a pipe and a wire is what's going through them. We used valves in process piping. The British still use them in their radios. We call them tubes over here, but spent 37 years doing that, and played around with amateur radio, was involved in scout training off and on and back and forth with Chris and some training stuff like that, and got back active. And right now I'm the treasurer. So if you're looking for the money man, see me. My hands are always open. I'll never turn your money down. And radio wise, you can see some of my stuff in the background. I like the digital modes. I do know how to talk on single sideband. It's just going back 2014 when the sunspots went away, I'd tune up and down all the bands, and I might hear somebody talking, and I read an article on how to hook my radio up to the computer, and I never looked back after that. It's been a lot of fun, and as I said earlier, I don't care what you're interested in radio, it's there. We all have our little favorite places and things and stuff like that. So don't worry about finding a place. So your problem is not going to be finding a place. It's going to be deciding which one you want to play with. And with that, we'll turn it back to you, Howard.
All right. Let's see who's next. I think Zach, maybe.
Yeah, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Zach Thompson. My call sign is KM4BLG. That's Kilo Mike 4 Bravo Lima Golf. I am the vice president of the club here. And my background is largely in computers and technology. I've been a computer geek since pretty much I was old enough to sit upright. That led me to get my computer science degree from UNCA, and currently I work for Skyrunner Internet, which is a local internet service provider here. And Seth Turner, who you'll probably meet later, who's one of the students here, also works there. But anyways, what got me kind of interested in amateur radio was when I was about, if I had to guess, probably around 10 years old. I was going through the store, specifically Rose's department store that used to be up in Weaverville, and went past the electronics section and saw a shortwave radio there. And I looked all over the box, never had heard of shortwave before. Looked all over the box, couldn't really find any clues as to what it was. And well, of course, this is before smartphones when you could just Google it. So the curiosity got the best of me, and I bought it. Got it home, realized it was radio broadcasts from all over the world and all over the country, and was really enthralled by that. And after doing some more research, realized that ham radio operators actually talk to people on the other side of the world. And that just really fascinated me. Well, I started looking into it, found a practice test of some kind. I'm not even sure what license class it was. And at the time, being 10 years old, and it seemed like a very, very intimidating test, which, it isn't. Now, I now know that, but it seemed like you had to be a genius to do it. And so I kind of gave up on the idea and still played around with shortwave radios and weather radios and stuff like that, and kind of put it in the back of my mind. Well, later on, when I was in high school, I heard of the Skywarn program, which is basically it's a network of trained weather spotters. I think we'll cover it in a later class. But anyways, heard of Skywarn and heard that a lot of ham operators also did Skywarn, which kind of put it back in my mind. Well, so I researched it again and looked at another practice test and realized it really wasn't all that bad. I was going to have to study a little bit for it, but I thought it seemed pretty attainable. So me and a friend of mine from school, we decided to study and get our ham radio licenses. Got my technician, eventually upgraded to general, and then eventually upgraded to extra. I came into this after all the Morse code requirements were done, but I did decide to learn Morse code on my own. And in fact, that's kind of what my favorite thing to do these days in amateur radio is doing Morse code portable from like a park or a mountaintop or something like that. And then, of course, with my computer background, I also like playing around with pretty much anything new, cutting edge digital type stuff, and building things for that and everything. And yeah, it what was just kind of a casual interest in shortwave radios eventually turned into almost an obsession. I like to play around with a little bit of everything amateur radio has to offer. And I'll be teaching, I believe it's chapter 8, which is kind of some rules and regulations and stuff later on in the class. But just want to welcome everybody here. So that's pretty well the story on me.
All right. I guess Randy would be next.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name's Randy Harris. My call is KI4VLW, and that's my original call. I didn't get a vanity call. I just stuck with the one I have. My background is medical, retired from the VA hospital after 30 years of service, and prior to that, 8 years in the private sector and radiology, heart catheterization, CT, and interventional radiology. So if you ever had a stent put in, that's what I used to do, things like that. And I've been in ham radio since 2007. And going way back, I was a CB radio operator back before they became so popular back in the early 70s with the TV shows. And avid shortwave listener. And one night, 2007, I was listening to a couple of hams on the 80-meter band, one in Michigan, one in Florida, talking. And I decided I wanted to do that and got in touch with our local club here and got into amateur radio. And I do have, I don't know if I mentioned it, I do have my extra class. I'm also the club secretary and also a volunteer examiner team leader. And also, along with Zach and one more, we're co-Hamfest chairman. And Hamfest is a gun show type, only with ham radio instead of guns. So we co-chair that and enjoy that very much. And looking forward to teaching. Mine will be communicating with other hams. I'll be showing you how to use your radio, how to make contacts, among other things, checking in the nets and things like that. And I will take at least 2 weeks because I get long-winded. But I go in depth about making contacts and using your radio. So that's why it takes so long. So that's it for me. And again, looking forward to teaching when my turn comes around. Okay, Howard.
Okay, I guess last but not unimportant, our safety instructor, Bob Hilton. Go ahead, Bob. You have to unmute. Bob, you're still muted. Get your space bar if nothing else.
Got to make one comment. Randy sure got better looking.
We'll come back to you, Bob, to figure out where your mute button is. Want to go ahead and introduce a few other club members? I don't have a, well, let me see if I can get a list here.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you, Bob.
Okay. Yeah, didn't realize it was muted. My name is Bob Hilton, call sign KS4FX. Background is communication in a power company. That sounds kind of odd, but the power company has its own communications, and we were the third largest power communication company in North Carolina at one time. We had telephone system, radio system, and several other systems that we used internally, and we maintained all those. And we also had, excuse me, had computer systems that we worked on. And I ended up working on a computer system that did SCADA, which is system control and data acquisition, that kept up with all the power that was generated, collected, and power generated controls generated also. So I had quite a bit of varied experience in electronics, and I worked there, I think it was 29 years, and had an enjoyable time at that. But ham experience, I got into ham. I'd wanted to when I was a kid, but I never could learn the code. I tried several times, just never could do any good with it. And then there were several hams in the fire company, and I talked to one that I went to church with, and he told me about the class that y'all are sitting in. And I sat in the class under Norman Harold and a couple more people, and they taught the code, and I learned enough of it to get my general license. And I finally went ahead and took the extra, but I could not pass the 20 word a minute code test. And I kept taking it and kept taking it, kept studying for it, and finally managed to pass the test by the skin of my teeth. I think maybe I had a little luck there, but I managed to get it in '93. So I've been a ham for 30 years. And I've enjoyed it. I don't use it that much. Don't get on the radio that much, but I do enjoy being a ham and being around other hams and talking to hams, even not on the radio, and enjoy what is out there for the ham. Is a lot to do, and I do live south of Asheville, below the Parkway. And I guess that's all I have to say. I'll be doing the safety portion of the classes.
Thank you, Bob.
And that's all I have to say.
We have a couple of other club members here. You want to speak up there, Randy?
I do now that we're unmuted. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jenny, KK4BRE, and I've been licensed. Me and my dad got licensed in 2011, I think. And we've met a lot of really great friends through the club. Randy and Linda Harris got us started on it. Randy is letting me sit in over here and say hello to everybody and let them know that there's more friends over here, even though we're not on the Zoom with you guys. We've got my dad and Linda's over here. They might say a few words too. But we just wanted to say hello, and ham radio has been really fun for us. We've met a lot of really cool friends and made a lot of lifelong connections now, and just really enjoy it. And the class was very beneficial to us getting started. We probably wouldn't have been able to pass the test if we didn't have some experience and hands-on getting to learn from these fine folks. So it's going to be a great fun time, and we hope the best for everybody coming up. So thanks for letting us be here to say hello. Best of luck to y'all.
Okay, put Linda on.
All right, you can say hello.
Hello, I am KJ4CRL Linda, and I got into radio because of Randy, and I'm not bragging how long I've been in. Thank you.
Your turn. Linda was short, sweet, and to the point.
Yep. Go with it, Reed.
Where do
Sit down and
where do I aim?
Yep.
Talk to the box.
just say
Go
hi.
ahead.
Oh, I'm okay. KK4BRF. Kilo 4 Bravo Foxtrot. Reed over here in Asheville, and I got into this club stuff. And, well, Randy, no, my daughter. And my daughter must have got some idea somewhere and said, you know how to do walkie-talkies and stuff. And I was like, I hadn't done that since Cub Scouts when I was little. But we'll check into it if you want to know about it. And so thought it was just going to be us going and meeting a few older Cub Scouts and just play around with it a little bit. And all we found out, boy, you got to be licensed and have all tests and all kind of wild stuff. And so it's like, oh, I'm going to have to go to school too. And because I don't remember doing all that growing up. I'm a military brat. But anyway, I've had a good time learning. This club here had a class that said, come here and you can learn all about it. And so it seemed pretty easy and reasonable. I think it was even free. Might have had to buy a book or something, but it was okay. It's useful information. But and it helped me pass the test because the instructors, they were just helping me have a good time mostly. And I didn't know what all the important stuff was at the time, but the book, it kind of helps you key in and stay focused. And the answers are in the back of it too. And so at least it used to be. I don't know if it still is. And but other than that, we've had a really good time going out on all kind of bike races and foot races and just helping people around the community. And I've gotten to know people around here in Asheville pretty good. And I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but anyway, I highly recommend coming to the school in this Zoom. I mean, you can come. I hear people from California here tonight, and hello out there. But anyway, this is pretty nice about the club here, having this class. Thank you, Howard, and hope all y'all getting into it will persevere, and we'll look forward to hearing and talking to you maybe on the radio. Y'all have a good night. 73 to all those, and KK4BRL out and clear.
All righty. And N4SET, Steve.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Emery, N4SCT. That's a vanity. Acquired that back in 2008, I think. Original call was an issued one. My background is such, let me tell you, 18 years continuous club member, 27 years licensed ham, but my interest goes all the way back to 1969 when I started public service law enforcement. And in one fashion or another, that lasted 46 years. Here I am still in radio, but now I get to do it not for free because it can get expensive, but it's a lot more fun. I would suggest to those of you who are studying for a license, just apply yourself. It's not that difficult. Pay attention. These folks are great. They'll give you some good advice. Once you get your license, that's when your real learning process will begin. I would suggest Join a club in your location, wherever you are. Find some folks who are socially minded. You'll not find a better bunch of folks than ham radio operators. They're knowledgeable, they're fun, always have some insightful information, and just make it enjoyable. And there's about 1,000 things you can do with ham radio. If you get tired of one aspect of it, just find another one. It's never going to be a case where you lose interest. Everyone have a good evening. Best of luck. And I am the Wcars president of the Wcars DE organization, one of only 14 licensing organizations in the country. If you're fortunate enough to test with a Wcars team, we provide prompt service. You can get your license. If it's a work day, theoretically, you can get your call sign the same day you test. We are proud of that, and we're going to try to continue doing that. Everyone have a good evening, and thank you so much.
All right. And so we're going to let students start telling us about themselves. Now, if I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry. Ardash, you're up.
Hi, thanks for having this session. I really appreciate it. I'm from Purdue University, and we are looking forward to tracking satellites in space. We have a ground station here at West Lafayette, and I have a ham license from India, but transfer of licenses and operation can get complex, so I thought might as well just get a technician license here, but happy to meet you all here.
All right, thank you. Let's see. My name list keeps jumping. Amber.
Hi, my name is Amber. I am in the Asheville area. My background's actually in banking, but doing this, my dad's gotten into ham radio, found it really interesting. Just, looking to find ways to use it and meet people and enjoy it.
Well, you can do that, I promise you. And Becky McCurry.
Hi, I'm Becky McCurry. I'm here with my husband Chuck and my daughter Danielle. I'm interested in learning about ham radio, secondary to my husband Chuck. I'm by profession a nurse for many years now, and so ham radio doesn't come natural to me. If it was medical related, that would come natural, and so hence I need a class.
Well, one real requirement to be a ham is just like to talk.
Well, I can't do that. I do that really well, talk.
Okay, if you're all, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, introduce myself, WK4Y, and Danny went ahead and got her license. So,
KQ4OEK.
So we're working on the POTA assistant here. So
very good.
Yes.
All right, let me find my list. Chris Staley.
Cool. Hey. Hi, I'm Chris. I am also in Lafayette area. I went to Purdue for computer science. I'm now way older than that, and I do cybersecurity for a living, and this is just something that interests me. I found you guys through a local Discord group, and they pointed me your way. So, hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all. All right, Ed.
It's, excuse me, Ed Yeager. Originally from Indiana. I spent 20 years working down by Bloomington for the Navy. Did a lot of IT support work for them. Started out in electronics. First computer got wire wrapped, if anyone's old enough to remember wire wrapping components. And then after 20 years with the Navy, I transferred to the Forward Service and moved to Tetons. And first year out here, got working with Wildfire, doing IT support. But almost always right next to me was the Radio Shack. So kind of piqued my interest in what they were doing over there. Retired last year, got some time on my hands.
interested in supporting incident management and see what I can do.
And where are you now?
Driggs, Idaho. It's right across the mountains from Jackson Hole, if anybody knows the west side of the country.
Very good. Thank you. And Jason Reese.
Yeah.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we're just interested and, I don't know. Go ahead.
My dad has his ham radio license, and so he told the kids that if they get theirs, then they'll be able to talk to him. We live about an hour from him, and so my dad kind of hyped the kids up and told them that if we get it at our house, then that we can talk. So they think that's really cool. So.
Well, I'll tell you, the youngest person to pass the test here was 5 3/4.
Oh wow, there you go.
You can get that.
We're from New York. We're a couple hours south of Buffalo. So.
Well, very good. Welcome. Let's see.
Thank you.
Karen, Karyn. Karen?
Hi, I'm Karen, and I'm just into this because I want to talk to my kids. Half of them are in New York, the other half in South Carolina, and I'm in Ohio, so I have to learn a lot.
Well, we're happy to have you. In the past, we used to give this class at the local tech school, and we found we have a much wider audience on Zoom. So let's see, Chris. Ken?
Good evening, and I'm Ken Becker.
Hello.
Yes.
Can everybody see me and hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry, Kim. I said Ken.
Oh, sorry.
You're next. Okay, Ken.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Ken Becker here. I'm a retired mechanical engineer. I was in the Army as an electronics technician for almost 4 years. And then I worked for the Navy for 28 years as a mechanical engineer, cross-trained in acoustics. Let's see, what do I know about ham radio? Well, I know a limited amount from a previous class. And expectations, well, I want to pass the exam, of course. So that's about all from me, I guess.
All right, Ken. And now, Kim.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kim. My call sign is KQ4JSK. I got my license, my technician license, about 8 months ago. Because my husband was interested in radio, and he got me interested in radio, and I got to hang out with your cool bunch of instructors and realized I wanted to talk to them on the radio. And that's kind of my special place in ham radio, is being able to just talk to a lot of people that I would not have otherwise known. And now I am hosting a Drive at 5 Net every Monday through Friday. And if someone had told me 10 or 11 months ago that I was going to be doing that, I would have said something along the lines of, I don't think so. But anyway, you guys have a cool bunch of instructors. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot. And I'm looking forward to hearing your call signs on the radio. This is KQ4JSK, Kim. Have a great evening and good luck with your class. Enjoy it.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Christina.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So my name's Christina Vizcaino. I do live in the Buncombe County area. My husband will be also attending the classes, but he may have to watch the recorded sessions. I know nothing about ham. I am a pharmacist in my education. So I'm definitely in the medical field like some of other folks on the call, but I do talk to people for a living. I do patient appointments on a regular basis, so this will be a different opportunity for me. And I am a little bit on the shyer side, so I probably won't chime in too much. But I think that ham radio will really open up my network, and I can meet a lot of other people. My husband and I are very interested in ham radio from just a survival standpoint, but it sounds like there are a lot of opportunities out there for ham just as a hobby and meeting other folks. So I'm really excited about that. As far as expectations for myself, I don't know what to expect. I'm just excited to learn something new that's totally out of my wheelhouse. So there's a lot of experts on the call that I'm really impressed with how long you guys have all been doing this. So I think just getting excited about something really new for me and will be new for my husband as well. So I appreciate everybody's time.
Well, you're welcome. All right, Leanne.
Well, hello from California. My name's Liana, and I am interested in this because I'm part of CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. We have wildfires, earthquakes, crazy folks out here in La La Land. We live off-grid on a small homestead in far, far Northern California, way away from LA and San Francisco. A friend of mine on a preparedness forum told me about y'all and said that you were offering this class. So I look forward to learning a lot. And gosh darn it, I got sick with that darn flu. First time been sick since 2017. So I'm here, but I'm not talking too much. Anyway, nice to meet y'all. And I love all your varied experience. And I'm looking forward to learning a lot. So thank you.
All right, let's see. Robert Yatch. Please correct me if I get these wrong. Robert?
There we go. Yes. No, my thumb didn't work on my phone there very fast.
All right.
So, yeah, that was pretty close to the name. It's Gok, just like Bach. And I have no expectations other than wanting to learn and see what I can do with it. And Rick Montel is a good friend who's been constantly after me to sign up and check it out. So I thought I'd do it. It sounds like it's going to be fun.
Very good. Where are you?
Oh, I'm just over here in Mills River.
All right, very good.
So yeah, I'll get a chance to meet all of you local soon.
Like Friday. We have a meeting every Friday morning where you can also do testing at the Ingalls across the street from the outlet malls on Brevard Road, right off of I-26. In the little cafeteria area there, if anyone's wandering around that area and wants to come in and meet a bunch of us, that's probably our favorite meeting place. Okay, let me move on. Roger?
Hello, everybody. Roger Howell here. I work for a mortgage company in Asheville and been here a couple years. Spent 30 years out in Idaho, so I definitely know where Driggs is. I've always been interested in ham radio. Even as a kid, I looked at it, but the Morse code, and that stopped me from doing it. And just, the idea of having a skill that maybe in the time of emergency I could better serve my community has always been very appealing for me. Like I said, been a fan since I was a kid of ham radio. And as far as expectations, I just have an open mind. And I'm just going to try to soak in everything I can learn here and hopefully get my license with a minimal amount of effort here.
All right. Beth Turner.
Hey you guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Seth. I work for a local internet company in Asheville with Zach. and I do most of the tower climbing for our company. We manage all the infrastructure for about 8,000 customers, and I've always been on the RF or the microwave radio side of things, and kind of want to get back to the basics. I'm excited to learn everything from Morse code all the way to some of the digital stuff that we do at our company. So excited to learn, and nice to meet all you guys.
All right, very good. Stephen Maley.
How are y'all all doing this evening? My background is 6 years in the Navy. I worked fleet electronics direct support, and in that I was usually the antenna petty officer for my different commands, and I did electromagnetic interference and electromagnetic control. So I spent a lot of time on ships chasing spurious problems. From there, I went to a government agency for 22 years. That moved into the digital range until I couldn't stand the federal government anymore, and then went into the firearms industry, and I finally retired. So now that I'm retired and I don't have to deal with Morse code, unfortunately, in the building I was at early in my career in the Navy were the ditty chasers, and I think my brain has just blanked that out. But so I'm going to have to dust off a lot of stuff from 40 years ago. I'm another ancient CB guy, been running single sideband since the 60s. My call sign was Kilo Yankee X-Ray 8108, and I'm really looking forward to this class.
Very good. If I haven't called your name, please speak up. My attendees list keeps jumping around on me, and I think I have everyone, but I'm just not sure.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
My name's Joe Woodruff. I'm in Weaverville, and I'm a retired offshore technician. Been retired about 6 years now. So looking to pick up a new hobby. When I was working, did a lot of different things. The offshore field, which included oil exploration and subsea cable burial, and got into robotic submarines and AUVs. And it was a really interesting career. But I actually got my technician's license about 4 weeks ago. So like Steve was saying earlier, once you get your license is when you start to learn. So that's why I figured I'd tune into this class and see what I can learn.
Well, you're certainly welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And sorry I missed you. Chris, Oregon. It's yours again.
Hey, Howard.
I'm working on it.
I got a short story for the students real quick, if Chris will let me go.
Go, go, go. I
All
gotta
right.
get the place back.
Right at a year ago, when we started last year's tech class, I got my goddaughter who lives up in Indiana. She went to Purdue. She's in the Lafayette area. And her friend signed up, took the class. When we got done with the class sessions, I suggested that they do a couple of online practice tests for their general. And they went ahead, did that. They went to a ham fest up in Peru, Indiana, and they tested straight to general. And then this summer, or this last summer, they were down here visiting, and my goddaughter went ahead and got her extra. And then probably, I don't know, 3-4 weeks after that, her friend Liz got her extra. And they had some problems finding a place in the Lafayette area they could do their testing. And so Liz has started a test team. She's certified now as a VE tester, and she's the team leader, and she has a full team set up. And in fact, they're doing their first live testing session this coming Saturday. They're going. I think they had 16 people signed up to take the test. So, you know, that's, like I said, they started from scratch a year ago, and they're already a testing team doing test administration for people who want to get their licenses. So it is possible to move through relatively quickly. And yeah, I got to admit, I'm kind of proud of it. So, but yeah, it can be done. So that's my story. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, thank you. I thought you were going to give me a hard time.
Why?
You know why. I have not got my extra yet, but we will get it. Okay, let's talk about the instructor's expectations of the students here. Okay, the class will start and end on time. Sometimes we might go a little long-winded, but we're going to do our best to start and end on time. The instructor will be prepared for each topic. So the students are expected to read their assigned material before the class. Be ready to learn. So I hope everybody has their books. Ham radio is not a spectator sport. Somebody said that they like to sit back in the background. Well, you'll be called on, so you're going to have to talk a little bit, but we will honor that as much as we can. Active participation is vital to the success in obtaining your license. Course overview. Okay, here's the modules. Tonight we're doing Module 1, Welcome to Amateur Radio. And then we'll go on through the different ones, radio and signal. Here goes a net in the background. Sorry about that. That's our Aries net starting up here on the 9.1. And we'll talk about what like 9.1 and 1.9 and 6.4 and all that equals to. That's the repeaters. We call them by their nicknames, I guess you'd say. But anyway, we'll talk about electrical components and circuits, propagation antennas, feed lines, amateur radio equipment, radios and amplifiers and all kinds of different things like that, especially power supplies. Communicating with other hams, license regulation, operating regulations, and safety, and then we'll work with you to get you ready for the exam. So let's get started. Okay, what is this? That came up unexpectedly. Our goal during this class is for each of you to achieve your technician class amateur radio license. The license will give you the authority to operate on an amateur radio, a ham radio transmitter, because unless you have a license, it is illegal for you to transmit over the airs on the frequencies and the bands that are allotted to you. And as you move up from technician to general, then on to extra, you get more frequency authority to go out into other frequencies and can transmit on them. What is amateur radio? Amateur radio, or ham radio, is a personal radio service authorized by the Federal Communication Commission, the FCC for short, to assure the advancement in art and science of radio. Is to promote, develop, development of emergency communication capabilities to assist communities when needed. We are the backbone and the backup to the emergency management. We work with them a lot, the fire departments, EMS, and the 911 centers. We are their backup because when their systems go down, ours normally will work. It might be radio to radio, if we lose the grid, but we can even operate if the grid's down with emergency power on the mountains to our generators to supply power to the repeaters. So hopefully that will work out okay. To promote the development of emergency operations, I went over that. To develop a pool of trained radio operators to promote international goodwill by connecting private citizens to countries and around the world, around the globe. Through ham radio, you can become an ambassador for your community. People will look up to you. They'll ask you questions because you are the expert and the communication link in a case of emergency. Amateur radio service is governed by the FCC rules Part 97 of the rules and regulations. Anyone can be a ham operator. And as someone said before, there's no age limit. That's in either direction. You can be 3 years old. If you can pass the test, you can do it. You can be 104 and pass the test and you get your license. Let's see. Okay. Amateur radio operators cannot accept payment for any type of operations on their radio, no matter what goods or services provided. Amateur radio is not set up for a profit-making business. So the exact reference is Title 47 Code of Federal Registrations, and you'll see this in the codes as CFR 97 or 47 CFR Part 97, and that's referring back up to the FCC rules and regulations. Howard, do you know what that is that's typing out below us there? I don't know if they can see that or not, but hope everyone is enjoying the weather. What?
Yeah, we can all see it.
I think it may be a audio, audio from the net.
I've got it.
That is weird. I've never seen it do that before. Are there any way you can turn it off?
I think it's on your end.
Yeah, and I don't know how to turn it off.
Turn your radio off.
Slow connection. My radio's not talking. Nothing's talking. I don't know where it's coming from.
Do you have transcript turned off?
Do I have what?
Transcript turned off.
I might have it turned on. Let's see, where is it?
Because I see it, but only when the screen is reduced, not when it's full screen.
It just started all of a sudden. I'm not sure why it's there. Learn more about this thing every day. Let me stop sharing and see if I can figure it out, and we'll come back to this in just a second. Screen square. Show captions. English. Maybe that's it. Maybe my captions are on, but I didn't turn it on.
And what it does appears to be the net that's running on 9.1.
Wow. That's strange. Yeah, it's kind of, I saw that there at first, and I think Steve checked into it because I saw N4SET. All right, I'm going to try and get the screen going back again. I don't know what's causing that. I apologize for it. Okay. Okay, what do hams do? Yeah, it's doing the net for some reason. Let me turn it off. See if that works. Okay, hams communicate. They experiment. They build things. They complete things. They serve their communities. They engage in lifelong learning. That's what it's all about. And I think Steve Emery said before, he says, when you get your license, you're just starting. You're learning for the rest of your life. What makes ham radio different? There are many unlicensed radio services available now. Now, some of you are familiar with these. I don't know why they didn't put CB up there, because you don't have to license to talk on a CB, but CB is one of them. FRS is another. That's the family radio service. And the GRMS is the same frequencies that FRS has, but GRMS requires a license. And when you get a license, you can talk on the GRMS. You can have more than 5 watts. Well, it's not even that much. It's like a watt on FRMS. In GRMS, you can, on a mobile radio, you can have up to 50 watts. So, and there's other systems out there too, but do you ever think about a firefighter or a policeman that's out working the radios and talking to dispatch and stuff? Those guys don't have a license. They are operating under their agency license, so they don't have to get an individual license. They are a service. Amateur radio is very flexible. There's few restrictions, but you get more frequencies and channels and bands, and you have your ability to use more power. On a lot of the channels, the most power you can use is 200 watts. But on many of the bands and frequencies, you can go all the way up to 15 kW or 15 kilowatts.
No.
Do what?
1500.
1500, excuse me. Right. 1500 watts. So, it makes it easier to talking around the world if you want to. More ways to communicate. Great day. They've got moon bounce. You've got satellite communication. You can bounce radio waves off of part of the atmosphere back down. That's called skip. There's digital ways to communicate called DMR, which is digital mobile radio. DMR is it was really hot for a while. It's sort of calmed down now. It's not as popular as it was, but you can talk further and you can talk with a much clearer audio coming over digital radio, because it will clear up a lot of the static and background noise and things like that, and be able to communicate better. And the best thing is it's free to operate. Now, your radio may not be free, but you can get into this hobby for really cheap, less than $100, and you can get a handy talkie that will enable you to talk on 2-meter band. So, what makes radio different? There are many. Oh, I already did that. Why did I do that? Ham radios are much more compatible and have the potential of interfering with other radios. Spurious emissions can come from some of these cheaper radios that can hop onto the radio frequencies and cause interference and receiving problems. I've seen people, they've got a noise on their radio and they'll go all through their house, and it ends up being one of these little charger warts that's plugged into the wall socket. Unplug it, the noise goes away. It's hard. I mean, I think we had one guy on there was talking about he used to try to find those type of things. Then there's equipment where you can find them. Ham radios have an unlimited reach. They're easy to reach around the globe and into space. You can talk to the space station if you can catch it just right. And well, there's two things. You got to catch it in the air just right, in the space just right, and you got to make sure that there's an operator up there listening so they can talk back to you. And they do have times and schedules for that you can get. FCC authorization is required to ensure the operator is qualified to operate the radio safely, legally, and appropriately. This is why you are here, is to learn how to do that. Steps to obtaining your license. Study the material in the ham radio license manual that each of you should have. Make sure you have a current edition. We are working under edition 5 right now. That will change next year, I think. I'm not sure if it's next year or year after. Changes every 4 years. Review the question pool in the back of the book. Look at them. Sometimes you may think you know it, and you may get the question partially right, but it's not the question or the answer they're looking for. So you got to make sure you answer the correct one. There are practice exams out there. AARL is one of the organizations that work with hams, and they've got a thing there if you want to write down those web pages, go ahead and do it. QRZ is also another one that has it. There's one called Ham Study. There's a bunch of stuff out on the internet that you can do practice exams with. The practice is kind of a precursor to the questions that you're going to take. It's 35 questions. It's multiple choice. The questions are pulled directly from a pool, and maybe one of the V's can tell me, but I think there's a pool of like 500 questions out there, and it pulls 35 from different sections of the question pool, so many from each section. You need to answer 26 of the questions correctly. You can miss up to 9. So the rule of thumb that I've heard is you take a practice test and you consistently get above 85 on your test, you're ready to go take a real test. And we'll talk more about that. That is the end of Module 1. So, Howard?
Well, anything else you want to cover, Chris?
I can't think of anything as far as the club, except the people that are here. I encourage the people that's here when you get your license to, or even before, the people that's in the Buncombe County area or, the greater Asheville area, come on and come to our club meetings that are on the first Thursday night of each month. And it will be in the Elm building over at AB Tech in room 232. That's where we have our meeting. And we also run our meeting simulcast on Zoom. So you can actually log on to a Zoom link and you can watch our meeting going on Zoom. It begins at 7:30 and we try to get finished by 9. We don't do that very often, but sometimes we do. But we encourage you to come. Once you complete your test and you get your license, you are really an associate member then. And if you want to pay your $20, you can be a full member, and you can have rights to vote. But your first year there as associate member, you can come to meetings and call yourself a member, but you will not be allowed to vote in any club business. So that's about all I can say. Also on Fridays, the VEs have a informal coffee at the Ingalls over at across from the Asheville Outlet Mall, which will soon be Tanner. And the Ingalls there's got a pretty large area, and we have a good time just talking radio. That's pretty much what we do. People have a problem or something like that, and we'll talk it out and just have a good time talking about radio stuff and that sort of thing.
And as we said, almost any Friday morning, you can take a test there.
Is anybody listening to the net now? It's our Aries, our local Aries has a net on the 9-1 on Wednesday nights, and if it hadn't have got me all combobulated, I don't know how it's feeding into the thing. I mean, my radio is connected by USB to the computer for programming and doing digital mode. But for some reason, it was talking to the computer and it was copying it. I don't know how, but that was a new one on me. But we were going to do a net
It
on
appears to be off.
Simplex, and we were going to see how we could do a talking to everybody across the county using radio to radio Simplex. But it doesn't look like they're doing that now. So sorry about that. We'll have to do that another time. I'm
Chris,
yes.
Sean is on there now on 520.
Is he? Okay,
Yeah.
let me switch to it. Is he just
I can't
waiting?
copy him.
He's just waiting. N4 RCM, N4 RCM to anyone who copy. John, I can hear you, but you're scratchy. How am I coming in? I'm going to turn my power up. I'm at 40 watts. I'm going to go to 100. N4 RCM calling again. Can you copy? Yes, sir. We went a little longer than I thought, so we're getting on it now. Are we able to talk to anybody station to station?
For BLG, I copy you both loud and clear.
Thank you, Zach. N4 RCM. Anyone else?
N4 RCM. I'm copying everybody.
Hendersonville station, repeat.
This is people for.
Sure. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate that. N4 RCM. Anyone else?
I am copying everybody except Carl.
Okay, Randy, thank you. You're sounding a little good. You're coming in about 8.4 right now. Anyone else on the net? Sean, did you copy Steve N4 SET? Is he out there? Okay. Anyone else copy this station, N4 RCM?
RCS, 74 HDQ, 50 Bravo 4, Hotel Hospital.
Roger, location?
Okay, Columbus, North Carolina, Amazon.
Columbus, North Carolina. Can anyone else copy WB4HO? I think's what you said.
I done quick, HDQ. Negative copy of the station from Columbus, but I copy Carl loud and clear.
Roger that. Sounds good.
Yeah, Chris, you got kilo whiskey for Mike back here.
Thank you, Rick. Sounding good over here. N4 RCM. Anyone else copy this station? I figured Dean would hear us.
Yeah, you ought to be a line of sight.
Yeah, Dean usually hears me.
For the end of KQ4JSK.
There's Kim.
Hey, Kim, KQ4JSK, you sounding good. I can hear you real well. You're in O-Team?
I am.
Okay, you're getting in South Asheville real well.
Great. Are you done with the Zoom class already?
We actually have our students listening to us talk on the Simplex Net right now.
That is great. I hope you all are enjoying the conversation that you're hearing this evening.
Thank you, Kim. KQ4JSK, this is N4RCM. Anyone else copy the station?
N4RCM, okay. For live. Follow the class with Becky, so I expect it and with you guys as well.
Well, that's great. Thank you, sir. What was your name again?
This is Dr. Weaver.
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate you calling in. N4RCM. Anyone else hear this station?
N4RCM, KC4ECN.
Well, hey, Harry. How are we sounding?
Not quite sitting beside me, but about 10 feet away. That's pretty good, Chris.
Roger that. Thank you, KCN. This is N4RCN. Any other station? Sean, I'm going to let you go ahead and close this portion of the net if you would, please, and I'll go back to the Zoom.
Thank you, sir. All right, the net is closed. This is KC4YBO 73. We do appreciate all your efforts.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, there's a reason we're all called hams. Everyone jumped in that could.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody tonight. Usually we go longer than this, but this first session is kind of well, they're still talking.
Chris, have you told the people what you were doing, what was actually happening here?
No. Would you like to explain it? I'm sure you can do a much better job than me.
That's one way to bat the ball across the net. What they were doing, and Chris and I have known each other long enough to where we can kind of poke at each other a little bit. So don't let that upset you any. What they were doing was talking to each other, what we call simplex, and I'm probably getting into some of Randy's class, but instead of using the repeater to talk to each other, they were talking to each other directly like you would be doing on HF radio. And the point here is these radios on FM are basically line of sight. And so what this does is, what we find out is, I live in Candler, which is west of Asheville. Randy lives in East Asheville. There's a mountain between us, but I can hear Randy. Chris lives in South Asheville, and I guess if you go down the French Broad River Valley, maybe that's the line of sight from my house to your house. Not sure where Sean lives in West Asheville. He was the scratchiest of the people that I heard. But basically, what that says, if the world dies, we can still talk to each other as long as our batteries are alive. And that's just, again, it's part of an emergency preparation thing. Again, if the world dies, we're the backup. And I know that I can talk to Chris, so I can, and I know Rick lives 1.5 miles away from me. I can talk to him. So somewhere between the two of us, we can cover the western end of the county. Chris has got the south, Randy's got the east. Chuck, I think he's got north. So basically we could establish a communications network like maybe one of us is stationed at a grocery store parking lot. If you've got an emergency, we'll tell you a public place to meet one of us, and we would have a way to talk to somebody that could get help. Is that enough, Chris?
Yeah, that's pretty good. You know, and a good example also of what we used to do back when at the fire department, when our main transmitter site would go out, and the main transmitter was up on Spivey Mountain. We had a backup transmitter up on Patton Mountain, up on Bowcatcher Mountain, and when both of those went out, which it happened quite a bit. That we had a couple of people that had 100-watt mobile radios, which would go up to the mountaintops, and they would be a relay for our Buncombe EOC, which is the Emergency Operations Center that did all the dispatching for the county. And that worked pretty well. But back then we used, it was like 6 meter, it was 145.32 frequency. And I could talk all the way to Florida on that thing a whole lot easier than I could talk next door sometimes, but that's the way that worked. The Highway Patrol in North Carolina used to have that, and they went from that kind of a radio system to a trunked 800, 900, 700 system, so which they call Viper. And maybe if we got time, we can talk a little bit about that, because that is the radio system that emergency services uses in Buncombe County. But
one comment that I'll add to that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One comment I'll add too, a good example. I'm over here in Inca, and Harry and Rick are both in Candler. Well, I could hear Rick, but I couldn't hear Harry. And let's say there was something that happened here in Candler, say, I don't know, a tornado went through. It doesn't really happen that often, but if it did, and we need to communicate, well, if I need to get a message to Harry, I can't hear him, but I can talk to Rick. So I could give the message to Rick, and then Rick could give it to Harry. That's kind of a good example of the relay. I pointed it out.
Yep. Very good. Howard, I guess.
Simplex, Zach.
Sorry, say again, Harry.
So I did hear you on Simplex, but you weren't nearly as clear as Chris was. Now I realize he's probably running about twice your power. I was running 50 watts.
Yeah, I'd have to look and see what I had the radio set to. It may have only been 25. So
You sounded real good here. I mean, you was almost full quieting, but there's a little bit of crack on the background.
And also, Chris can affirm this, but he mentioned the Viper system that the city and county uses. That system does go down. It usually doesn't go down for a long period of time. However, if it went down for a long period of time, we would actually take over the communications for emergency services for the county. And we have never been called, but we've come close a couple of times, the city and county calling us. Now that includes the police department, the sheriff's department, ambulance, and fire department. Chris, you want to expound on that?
Yeah, because we depend upon that digital system. It is a digital trunked system, and it is joined together by fiber optics. Uses and some of it's even across the internet, but it has its own fiber system. It has a microwave system that links the things together so the computers can talk to each other. But if any of those, I mean, there's one site. If it were to go boom, whoa, it would take the whole system down for the county and the city. So, if a backhoe digs through a fiber optic, it's down for a while. So
In 2013, I went to the American Radio Relay League's centennial, and the head of FEMA for the U.S. was there, and he had been a emergency director in Atlanta when exactly that happened. Somebody dug up their fiber optic cable, and the entire system went down, and the amateur radio system did back up Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I also want to add, guys, that y'all new into this. This is strictly a volunteer thing. It is not mandatory you help out emergency services just because you got a ham license. It's strictly volunteer. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it.
Exactly.
Well, and one thing I'll add too is not just officially helping police and fire and everything like that. It still can be used to, in an emergency for emergency communications. A good example of this is I was helping out with a hike that was going on one time at one of the rest stations. This particular hike, it's on I believe it's called the Foothills Trail. It's down there in Oconee County, South Carolina, and down into Georgia. Well, this area, if you're familiar with it, it's kind of near Whitewater Falls. There's no cell service for probably about a 30-minute drive in either direction. Well, anyways, the station we were at is up a little one-lane Forest Service road. That's pretty much the only way in and the only way out unless you wanted to hike out on the trail. And while we were up there, me and probably about 30 or 40 other people that was helping with the rest stop and everything like that, a tree fell across that Forest Service road. And when it did, it fell on some power lines. And of course, the sparking from the power lines started a small brush fire. So not only was our only exit route blocked, but there was a small brush fire that was moving our way because it was dry and windy at the time. Well, we were there providing communications for the race officials, and picked up my radio and radioed to net control and let them know the situation. Within probably about 45 seconds or so, they had the power company and the fire department on the way. And fortunately, the fire department got there and the power company. It was a real small thing. They got the fire out real quick and got the tree cut off the road, and nobody got hurt or anything. But provided there was no cell service in that area, trying to get help in that situation would have been challenging. And one of the guys there even had a satellite phone, and because of the tree canopy, he couldn't even get out on his satellite phone.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Joe.
I got a comment to make since I'm the newest man in the club. I got my call sign today.
Yeah.
You encouraged me last month, January, to come out, and I did. A lot of information. Took me 6 weeks. Got my tech license. Great bunch of people. Everybody's willing to help. I've really enjoyed the club. I'm glad I done it. I want to thank you for encouraging me.
Yes, sir. You're quite welcome. We're happy to have you. You'll be a great asset to our club.
Yeah.
So, saying what I wanted to say was all the new students, don't get discouraged because of all of the information you got to learn. Just hang in there and keep staying motivated. You'll get it. I'm on the side.
All right. I guess we're about done. And we'll just stop a little early tonight. And everyone have a good one.
Howard, I did see where some people were asking what their assignment was for the next class Wednesday night.
Okay. Wednesday night, I believe it is chapter 2. We'll be talking about radio frequencies and radios.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe read chapter 1 if you hadn't, read over what we went over tonight. It goes into a lot more detail in the book. and of course, chapter 2. So very good. Thank y'all. I appreciate you everybody coming tonight.
And in amateur radio talk, 73, which means best regard. And Morse code, it's, you can't hear my keyboard, but it's da, da, did, da, da.
Okay. If people got radios that you can program, you can program in the 14691 frequency, and you can monitor our repeater. And there's a few others around that you could monitor also. And the people that's not in town, you could actually monitor the 19, which is on top of Mount Mitchell, which covers almost 4 states. Well, some people say maybe 5 or 6, but you can get to Mount Mitchell and listen to it on. No, you have to have your license, I guess, before you can get onto Echo Link. So.
Well, I was going to mention that somebody I remember said, I think they were in California, and I think it was Karen down there was talking about talking to her children. I'm not sure where we talk about Echo Link in this class, but you can use your phone.
Yeah.
There's an app that you can download now. In order to activate it, you have to have a license, and our repeater doesn't have an Echo Link connection to it, but the one in South Carolina does. And I have heard people checking in from Germany, the Philippines, and they're using their cell phone with that app. I know when I go to California to visit my grandchildren, I'll check into their net. You got to remember that it's 6 o'clock out there for 9 o'clock here, but you can open that up and you can listen. I mean, you can listen, and I generally I don't talk. I just send them a text message and check in. But that is another thing. If you wanted to, be in contact with people, that is another way of doing it with your cell phone.
Yeah, and also with the local repeaters for people that's not in our area. This is a free app, and it's called Repeater Book. I hope y'all can see that. But Repeater Book is a free app, and it realizes where your phone is at the time, and you can set it up different ways, but it'll give you a list of repeaters and their frequencies within a 100-mile range of where you're at. So those that don't have a license but have radios and want to listen in, that's one way you can find repeaters and frequencies and just type them into your radio. And
another way you can listen in. Oh, sorry, guys.
That's all right. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, another way you can listen in, it's actually a website and an app, but and it's mainly for public safety communications like fire and EMS and police, but there are some ham repeaters on it. There's a website and an app called Broadcastify. If you just Google that, BROADCASTIFY, it's Broadcastify. It's basically a website and an app where you can listen to live streams of different radio feeds and stuff. And like I said, some ham repeaters are on it, and you don't have to be a member to sign up for it or anything. There is like a premium membership you can pay for if you want, but you can listen for free as much as you want. With ads and stuff, but that's another one to check out. I don't know of any repeaters locally that really have it on there, but there are some in other areas too, if you just wanted to listen in general. So
I will say that repeaters are not the only thing. Once you get your next license, or if you wanted to learn some Morse code, And you will have audio privileges, I believe, on 10 meters. And presently, you can talk about around the world on 10 meters. I was looking a little while ago and saw Japan on there, and Indonesia. And when you get into the more fun radio, I think I have 200 and something countries confirmed around the world out of 340. There's a lot of challenges you can pick up that you set personal goals. One of mine, it took me 13 years, was worked all 50 states on 5 different ham bands. And that is 250 contacts. In order to do that, and propagation is not where you can always talk to the one you want to. Ones that were the most difficult was on 10 meters, and my last 2 were West Virginia and Kentucky. Just to give you an idea, but it's challenges you can really do. Go ahead, Harry.
I say West Virginia is my last one on 10 meters.
Yeah, I understand.
So I'm about ready to pay Zach to go up and visit his grandmother and take his radio with him.
Well, we ended up not going at Christmas this year like we normally do, or else I'd have gave you that contact.
Well, I say they've got a QSO party, and I think it's sometime in June. I don't know what weekend that is, but don't look for me.
Yeah, we got one this weekend.
Yeah. And we'll talk about those things later.
All right. Let's call it, fellas. Again, 73. And we'll see you next week.
Yep. Same time, same place.
Good night,
same
all.
Zoom.
Good night.
Yeah.